Hi guys, and welcome to Tuesday Talk. This week we're talking about kitchen cabinets. Channel member Cheryl Wall asked about this subject. She asked if I spray them. Before we get into that, Cheryl has an amazing YouTube channel. It's Lifestyle of a DIYer. I love her channel. She just does all kinds of fun things and she really explains everything really well. And she kind of gets into some cool projects. So you have to check out her channel, Lifestyle of a DIYer. So again, to come back to the cabinets. So no, I don't spray them, and I could, but I'm really not set up to do it. I probably would. Maybe. Fortunately, I really enjoy painting, but there's a lot of setup that involves getting ready to do spray painting, because with cabinet doors, you sort of have to put a little screw hole in them, hang them on a hook, and if you want to do several at one time, it's just a lot of setup. So I've never done it. I've done a little spray painting. I've experimented with it. It's never been anything that I've really gotten into fully. Maybe someday, but for now, I just like to do what I like to do, and I do a lot of kitchens for clients. So so the main specific question that Cheryl asked was, do I spray? I've answered that, but I'm going to kind of go through my procedure, and I also will tell you about how I deal with clients, because you might be interested in doing this yourself for customers. So I'm going to keep some of that as exclusive content for our channel members, specifically the pricing part. So I don't really want to do a video on YouTube for the public that explains how I arrive at my pricing. Let me just tell you that no matter how I price it, I usually at the end of the project think, I didn't charge enough. So it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding and I enjoy doing it. So let's go ahead and get started with this subject. So first of all is the consultation with your client, or if you're just painting your own cabinets, the decisions about colors. As you probably know, I'm an elite retailer with Dixie Belle Paint. And before the Silk line came out, which is an all-in-one paint, then I used the chalk mineral paint. And you still could. There's so many colors in the chalk mineral paint line. There were 69 and they just introduced 6 more. So 75 colors to choose from. That's pretty specific if you really want something, again, specific. But when I go to a client's home, I don't generally, or I keep this in the bag. I typically just take these and say, these are your color choices. I much prefer to work with this paint now that I'm painting kitchen cabinets. We're going to get into talking about sealers and all that, but this paint does have a built-in primer and sealer. More so than that, I like it because it doesn't leave brush strokes. It settles beautifully. So, and we're going to talk about whether you use a brush or, what to use. So we're going to get into that. So the first thing then is to decide with your client or decide for your own cabinets what color you're going to pick. Trending a while back was to paint the uppers and lowers different, and some people are still doing that, and it's always, if it looks great, it doesn't matter whether it's on trend or not. It's what you or the client wants. That's the most important thing. But now we're seeing people go back to more just plain, both uppers and lowers painted the same color. So again, doesn't matter what's on trend, do what you or your client wants. So there's some beautiful colors in here. And I've seen a lot of beautiful, bold navy, or trending as green. Green's everywhere now. So people are a little more bold with their kitchen cabinets. Some clients or some people just prefer white, and they will go to the whites, and it'll take a while to pick a shade. I've had all kinds of different clients, and some that are not afraid of color, and some that, like I had a client that had a primitive style home and kitchen, and that was fun to choose colors for her kitchen. Colors that I would never choose, but I ended up loving. Typically don't do a distress on kitchen cabinets. And I will tell you too, I've learned, so if you're someone who has been a client of mine in the past, I will say, you know, with every kitchen I do, I learn more and the process gets better. So, but anyhow, so let's get started with the whole procedure. So, like I said, a lot of clients want to pick white. So that opens up a whole other can of worms as far as prep, and that relates to expense as well. So I have a kitchen cabinet door here just for looks. This one was kind of a sample I did for somebody and just did a distress on it. But the first thing that you would want to do, I like to kind of give it a scratch test. So if I can't scratch any paint off there, that means I don't need to use a bonding primer underneath there. But if I can scratch off paint, then you betcha I'm going to be using a bonding primer. And again, I sell Dixie Belle products, so that bonding primer for me would be Slick Stick. Now they do sell other products. In the past, when I've had super large kitchens to do, I have gone to Lowe's and I bought a gallon of paint that was a bonding primer that had a stain blocking primer in it as well, and it worked. You know, it was a little more economical, but typically I love this product, I really do. So Slick Stick is a bonding primer. But before we ever even consider primers, we have to clean it. And this is another Dixie Belle product that I stand by, and this one is called White Lightning. So White Lightning is a TSP type cleaner. You can use a degreaser, but you just want to clean those cabinets thoroughly. We always say to prep furniture to clean it thoroughly, but oh my gosh, kitchens are greasy. We all know that. So you have to take extra care to make sure that you're getting all the grease off of those cabinets. Otherwise, your paint is not going to bond. Now, I like to mix my White Lightning. This is powdered. I like to mix it up in a sprayer. And then the important thing with this is, you know, you clean it with the sprayer, or, you know, you can make a solution in a bucket. You can scrub it. You can do whatever you want. And of course, the best way to get the best job is to remove the doors and all the hardware. But you also then want, and this is just water in a mister bottle, you want to remove then the degreaser or your cleaner, because if you don't do that, then it can leave residue that keeps your paint from sticking properly. So now a word back, I'll go back to what I was saying about removing the doors and everything. Guess what? When I paint my own kitchen, I don't. That's my kitchen. But when I do it for a client, a lot of times too, we want to change the color of the hardware. So obviously it's necessary in that case. But in my kitchen, I did change the hardware because it was kind of old-fashioned. I have a 1938 kitchen, and I'm going to show you guys some clips of what I did in my kitchen and how I've updated it in the past. But I did change the hardware, so that was removed, but I did paint over the hinges. So No shame in my game. I'm telling you. I'm telling on myself. Okay, let's roll back to primer. Primer. So let's say your cabinets that you're painting are raw wood. Okay? Different kinds of wood are known as bleeders. So if your client or you want white paint, there's cotton, that's Dixie Belle's Whitest White, or it's white cap in the silk line. Even though the silk paint has a built-in stain blocking primer, you need more. If you are cleaning the wood and it comes off brown and they aren't smokers, then you know that that's a bleeder. So you need an extra stain blocking primer, which Boss is what I like to use. Again, it's Dixie Belle. They have white, they have gray, and they have clear. Now the reason you might want to use clear, it'll still block the stains, but the reason you might want to use it in case you want to distress, sand back and pull a little bit of that natural wood through. So that would be why you'd want to use clear. But I would think it would be a little bit difficult then to see if you got it all. So I would definitely proactively use a couple coats of it just to make sure, like probably 3 coats, just to make sure that you got all of the tannins in the wood. Because what happens is, it isn't so much when you paint it, you might see it right away, but sometimes it waits until you seal it. And that's when those tannins will pop out. So you've probably heard all this from furniture, but it bears repeating. So then, so you've gotten that part done. And what do you use as far as if you're not going to spray? Do you use a brush? Do you use a roller? I used to hand brush everything because I do love to paint. But now I use a roller, and it's really made my life a lot easier because the more kitchens I paint and the bigger the, jobs, if there's a lot, I prep for it, and I just set up my shop, and I have long tables, and I just lay out all the doors, and I use rollers. So in between coats, you can wrap it up, put it in a plastic bag. They even have these big, you can get the jumbo plastic bags that seal, and then you can just slide that whole thing in and it's not messy at all. So that's good. They make these painter's bags now too. They're nice as well. If you are painting in a big kitchen, I always recommend to my clients, because I will tell you this much as far as pricing, I give my clients a discount if they remove the doors and bring them to me. So if they do that, then they have to label them so that I know where they came from. Or if I'm removing them, I do the same thing. So my secret code is U1, U2, U3, etc. So that's for upper 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go from left to right. That way, that's my method, and I know that. And you may think, oh, I'll remember where this cabinet door goes, but trust me on that, you're going to want to label them. It just makes your life so much easier. And then the bottom ones, I just put L1, 2, etc. Again, from left to right. Some people will put a B for bottom, top, bottom, T, or whatever. But whatever makes sense to you, but I do uppers and lowers, L and U, and number them. So that's how I do that. Also important to get are these little feet. You can get these from Amazon, and they sell them in a box, and there's a whole ton of them. So I can link that in the description box, but I find these to be very helpful because you're using that roller. You can get around the sides of the doors and you don't get a buildup of paint. Because one thing that's really important when you are using the silk paint is that you can get a buildup of paint. And when you do, it dries hard because it has that built-in sealer in it. And it's not just as easy as sanding it down. You kind of have to actually cut it out and then sand it and then redo it. And it's a pain. So you just want to make sure you have a smooth finish first out of the gate. We didn't talk about sanding. So these are just, sanding sponges. I think it's best to use manually, because these are nice because they fit in all those little grooves of the cabinets. You just want to do a scuff sand on them. There's no need to do all this crazy sanding, but just a scuff sand before you get started, and also in between coats. Your client's going to want a really smooth job, and that will do it. Again, things that I've learned as I've gone along. So that's important stuff. Let's talk about sealer. So you have this nice smooth cabinet door, and if you used silk, you have a built-in sealer, and that may be as far as you want to go. But if you want to do a little extra protection, then I recommend using gator hide from Dixie Belle. This is a new formula. So in the past, there's been some people saying that it left, cloudiness or whatever. But just so you know, there's techniques to avoid that. So if you're painting with black, then a little trick or a dark color is to take a little drop of that paint and put it in with your gator hide. That will take care of any of those issues that you might have. So that is for a little extra protection. And right behind me, helps to do this video in my shop. Right behind me is the blue sponge. So these are great. You want to pour it out onto a plate or a pan and then wet the sponge, use it, and then just kind of go back and forth and just, keep using it so that you get even coverage. So, and back to brushes. We'll jump around, but it's important to know all these things. So I said that I use a roller, but then in places like this, a nice brush is a little round one, or you can use a nice flat brush. You might want a slanted one. Either way, just a nice brush to fit in that area too, or any little areas that you might want to touch up. So I am going to be showing you some kitchens that I've done in the past and my own kitchen. And I hope you enjoyed this. And don't forget, if you're a channel member, to check out the Facebook page, because there's some exclusive content on there for you with regards to pricing a kitchen job. And if you're not a channel member, then I would hope that you could click the join button and become a channel member. First of all, it's only 99 cents a month, and I spend a whole lot more at the dollar store, usually at least once a week. So that I think is a good value. I feel like since I've started my channel membership, it's really, I've kind of upped my Tuesday talk game a lot. I used to do just a lot of little DIY things. And now we're getting into some grittier subjects and getting a little technical about products and using them. So I love that, because a lot of my channel members have channels in their own right. So I think that's really cool. Or if you just want to learn a little bit more, and who knows, in the future we might offer different levels of membership. But for now, we're small, but we're growing, and I hope that you become part of our channel members as well. This is one of my favorite kitchen makeovers ever. The rose toile on the cabinets was perfect for this shabby chic kitchen. The client wanted the pink countertops, and I just went with her design decisions and loved how it turned out. Did the stripe on the valance, and she had that Laura Ashley fabric that went everywhere, so I loved it. And here's a before kitchen. And just standard issue dark cabinet doors. This was during COVID, and I did this whole consultation on video. So that really brightened up that kitchen. We did some other things in there too. Here's a primitive kitchen, a primitive house. It's kind of an open concept. And those are all the cabinet doors. Well, not all of them. Some of the cabinet doors laid out in my shop. And then here you can see the before and afters. What a difference it made. And here's some close-up of that distressing on the cabinet doors. And this was a closet that they totally removed and had brand new cabinets put in, and then they were painted to match the old ones. On this kitchen, this is the only before picture I have to show you, but this is the dramatic after. Now, this island is where the before picture was taken, and then on the other side, we'd added some molding and painted it out a little differently, and it really totally modernized the kitchen. We had rented our house for a while, so here's one of the first changes that we made. We did red walls, white cabinets, black countertops, and then that's what it looked like. And then did a change. I decided I didn't want the countertops. I did these and then I hated them. So then I painted the lowers in colored greens. This is a more worn picture before I updated it to the silk color Hampton Olive, and did the counters in a crackle finish. So that's what it looks like done in the Hampton Olive, and my husband convinced me to do the upper cabinets in it as well. He still would like me to put the cupboard doors back on and not have the open cabinet, but, you know, the debate continues. I did since redo the countertops. And now we have a little bit more of a faux marble finish. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like this content, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Visit lavintagedecor.company, and on Instagram, we're LaVintage Decor. On Facebook, we're LaVintage Decor Altoona. Stay well.